Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating article by Brett Hirsch. It's all about how parents and grandparents can build some serious tax-advantaged generational wealth. Look, if you've got kids or grandkids, you've probably laid awake wondering how to set them up for financial success, right? And ideally, how to do it without getting completely hammered by taxes. Well, Hirsch outlines a couple of incredibly effective, practical strategies that use the power of time and the tax code to your family's absolute advantage. Let's jump right in.
Okay, here's our agenda for today. We're going to start by busting the wealth generation myth, move right into strategy 1, which is the 529 plan, and then explore the magic of compounding. After that, we'll hit strategy 2, the early Roth, talk about the late saver penalty, and wrap it all up with a concrete generational action plan.
All right, section 1, the wealth generation myth.
So the modern reality is definitely shifting. Because college costs have just skyrocketed over the last few decades, the financial ROI on a lot of degrees is, well, it's highly questionable now. The old school traditional belief that a university degree is the absolute unquestionable golden ticket to prosperity, that's kind of becoming a myth. As the author points out, the earnings of folks in hands-on vocations, think plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, or real estate pros with a bit of business savvy, they are regularly surpassing traditional college graduates today. It really forces us to rethink exactly how we're investing in the next generation.
Which brings us to section 2, strategy 1, the 529 plan.
Now, the absolute crucial point of the 529 plan is its incredible tax benefits. Generally speaking, states actually give you a tax deduction just for contributing. From there, your earnings grow completely tax-free. And when you pull that money out for educational costs, and by the way, that absolutely includes those highly lucrative vocational schools we just talked about, those distributions are completely tax-free too. But here is the real game changer. New 2024 legislation actually allows you to roll a limited amount of unused educational funds directly into a beneficiary's Roth IRA. This flexibility is huge because it addresses that nagging fear of overfunding a 529 plan just in case the kid decides not to go to a four-year college.
Moving right along to section 3, the magic of compounding.
Compound interest is the most incredible power in the universe. Now, whether Albert Einstein actually said this or not, the author points out that it is a hard financial fact. And the best part, it requires zero effort. Literally zero. Just time and the iron discipline to keep your hands off the money. This whole process of earning interest on your initial investment and then earning interest on that interest year after year, that is exactly what makes generational wealth possible for everyday people.
Just think about simply reinvesting your earnings on a tiny $100 investment at a modest 5% return. After year 1, you've just got $5 in profit. No big deal, right? But as time ticks by, it takes over. At year 15, your money has doubled. By year 30, it's nearly quadrupled. And after 40 years, that original $100 has multiplied by over 500% to $537.82. You didn't add a single dime. The money literally just worked for itself.
Now, if 5% doesn't sound all that exciting to you, consider this. The broader stock market has historically returned averages way higher than that. The author highlights that from 2012 to 2021, the S&P 500 earned an average return of 14.8% per year. Even over a massive 30-year span, from 1992 to 2021, it averaged nearly 10% per year. When you take those real-world historical averages and plug them into that compounding engine we just talked about, the results are absolutely staggering.
Armed with those numbers, let's dive into section 4, strategy 2, early Roth.
Okay, imagine you manage to set aside a little money each year, right from the day a child was born. Fast forward, and by the time they hit 20 years old, you've accumulated a total nest egg of $25,000. You then park that money in a Roth IRA in their name, earning a fairly conservative historical average return of 10% annually. Let's see what happens as they get older. Without you or the child ever adding another single penny to that account, that initial $25,000 investment explodes to nearly $500,000 by the time they reach age 50. That is over $436,000. This is the raw, undeniable power of leaving investments alone to compound over decades. And get this, if they just let it sit there for another 10 years until they turn 60, that exact same account officially crosses the $1 million mark, $1,131,481 to be exact. And because this is all housed inside a Roth IRA, that $1.1 million is entirely tax-free. Let that sink in. You have literally secured their retirement from a single front-loaded effort when they were just a kid.
But what happens if you wait to start saving? That brings us to section 5,
the late saver penalty. The numbers here prove exactly why you simply cannot afford to put this off. On one hand, we've got our 20-year-old with that single $25,000 investment reaching over $1.1 million by age 60. On the other hand, we have someone who waits until age 35 to even start thinking about retirement. This 35-year-old has to scramble. They aggressively save $5,000 every single year for 25 years, putting in a massive $125,000 out of their own pocket. Yet, even with the exact same 10% return, they end up with less than half the total wealth of the early saver, just $492,000. They sacrificed 5 times as much of their own money just to end up hundreds of thousands of dollars poorer. Time really is the most valuable asset in investing. So, to ensure the kids in your life fall into that winning category, here is Section 6, the Generational Action Plan.
The steps laid out in the article are super simple but incredibly effective. Step 1, start saving early. Even just putting away $75 a month for 15 years at a modest 7% return yields over $20,000. Step 2, once the child has earned income from a part-time job, and remember, that is an absolute IRS requirement for a Roth, open the account and start transferring those saved funds into it, up to the annual limit. And step 3, which is probably the most crucially important part, downplay its existence. The author jokes that you really shouldn't tell them about it until they're 30, or honestly, better yet, 40. You do not want them blowing that money on a car, a fancy vacation, or an expensive wedding.
And here's where the whole shebang comes together beautifully. You can actually combine both of our main strategies today. By initially using a 529 plan, you get those sweet current state tax deductions. Then you can utilize the brand new 2024 rollover rules to shift those unused funds into the child's Roth IRA later on. This method perfectly achieves tax advantage savings from day one while simultaneously keeping the funds safely locked away and legally protected from what the author hilariously calls youthful priority looting. So, I'll leave you to ponder this final question as we wrap up this explainer. Are you ready to start building their millionaire future today? Will you do it, or will you let the magic of compounding slip away? The math is crystal clear. The tax code is currently in your favor, and the strategies are all laid out right here. The only variable missing is action. Thank you so much for joining me as we unpacked these generational wealth strategies. Until next time, keep learning, keep planning, and keep looking out for the future.